Wednesday, the 4th of December today, and I've taken the day off work. I'm up at Stanage, which is probably the most popular crag in the Peak District. Sometimes it's really nice to come to the popular crags in the middle of the week. Not often you get the chance to have some of the classic climbs to yourself. I've been to the main area a few times before, but there's kind of smaller areas to the left and right of Stanage that I've never explored. One particular problem that's caught my eye is called a case of mistaken identity, and it looks like a slopey, overhanging arete thing. I'm going to throw all my bits in the pad and head up. I stumbled across a really impressive traverse to warm up on, which is called Hamper's Hang. I didn't intend to spend that long on this block, but I started trying all the moves just to warm up, and once I felt warm, I thought actually it would be really nice to put this all together and tick the full climb. Because it's such a long climb, if I made a small mistake, I was just getting way too pumped to finish the route. There was a really hard crux section in the middle of the traverse. As you work along this sloping lip, you've got to kind of shuffle your heels along until you can get your feet onto the back wall. Once you're on the back wall, you get a little bit of a rest, but it's so easy for your heels to slip off, and you just can't hold the slopers unless you've got good grip with your feet as well. In the end, I had a bit of an epic on this climb. I probably spent 2 hours warming up on the moves and then having red point attempts. But it was definitely worth it because it's such a nice climb and it's in such a nice spot. Once I thought it was possible, I did what I always do. I set the camera up for a long shot of the whole climb, and I just started having burns from the start. In the end, I figured out some different beta for the really hard crux section. I would cross under my left hand, shuffle my right heel along a little bit, and then I worked out that with a little bit of swing, I could get a few extra inches reach on my left leg and just manage to hook it onto the back wall. The first time I made it through the crux section, I took a rest on this really big jug, but typically, like any boulderer, I was actually getting more pumped than I was recovering on the jug, and I ended up just bailing off because I couldn't feel my arms. I think the final crack section is a font 5, but I needed to work out a better way of resting, so before tackling it, I backed down into the corner and I managed to find a hands-free rest with a kind of shoulder jam against the bottom of the roof, and this was literally the only way that I could recover enough to finish the climb. With Hamper's Hang in the bag, I moved on to the main event. This climb is kind of in the same style along a sloping lip. It's a 7B called A Case of Mistaken Identity. I was running out of daylight, but I started to put together the moves one by one. And soon enough, I had the climb done in kind of 3 or 4 different sections. There was still a lot to do to link them. I was moving my hands up the lip quite far, and then I was really struggling to bring my feet up with me. Believe it or not, this kind of weird twisted heel beater was actually the best method for working my feet up. I kept trying to link sections together, but I wasn't having much luck. It started to get colder and colder, which should have meant better friction, but I couldn't really grip with my hands anymore. I decided that I was going to have to give up on this one, but it's definitely one that I'd go back for on another day.